Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to National Matters. And tonight we are so blessed to be with you. By the special grace of God, we are alive, you are alive. And to those of you who have lost your beloved ones, our prayers and condolences are with you. That said, I want to say that the countdown to our conference is here. On Friday, this Friday, we will have our conference on agriculture. I want you to know that I've just discovered something in life. If you don't spend money, if you don't invest in the education of your children, and you don't invest money in whatever project you are doing, don't expect many returns. By the special grace of God, my wife and I have been privileged to bring up children, and they've all gone through these academic qualifications. And our last born daughter, she's the only one who is outside the country doing an economics degree. And this November, she graduates and flies back home. But here's the deal. We had to take her out of the country. It's not because we don't believe in the education system of our nation, but at the time she was going, you find this university closed, open, closed, open, closed. And we looked at those things which could have interfered. So we had to sacrifice our much needed money to send our daughter out, and thanks be to God, she's completing as per schedule. What are you saying, Pastor? Investment. And most of us, we go into agriculture simply because you have a field, simply because you have got money to hire a tractor. You think you must be farming. It's not like that. Camnet TV, together with our cooperating partners, surrounded by professors and doctors with experience who are doing something of international nature, we are so grateful to be surrounded by those people. And in the studio tonight, my wife and I are so privileged. When I say my wife, put in mind that she is the CEO of this television station. My wife and I are indebted to all the people that we are working with, and those people who choose to come and educate the nation. I am privileged and honored to have Dr. Sichinga in the studio. He is not new. Dr. Sichinga, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Pastor Cho. Thank you.
We are so blessed to have you here.
Thank you.
There are those people who are visiting Zambia, those people who don't know who Dr. Sichinga is, who don't even know what you have done for this nation. If you can just briefly, Dr. Sichinga, who is Dr. Sichinga? And this doctorate you have, there are a lot of people who say, you ask them, I'm Dr. So-so, I'm Dr. Banda. When you ask them, you discover they are actually witch doctors. You discover they are doctors because somebody gave them a degree,
Yes.
which is okay.
Yes.
But who is Dr. Sichinga?
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
Amen.
I'm, as you've rightly pointed out, name-wise, Austin Sichinga.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, birth-wise, I was born in Muyombe, then Isoka district. Now it's a different district.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I went to school at Munali. Then went to the University of Zambia, where I did my degree in agriculture. The first degree I did at UNZA. Then from UNZA, I was given a scholarship to go to Canada. And I went to the University of Alberta which is, if you know British Columbia, then the next. I know you know, but for our people.
I just know from
Yeah.
the geography point of view.
Yes, it's
Also, we visited Calgary. So
yes, the biggest city. So that's where I did both my masters. After my masters, I came back to teach at the University of Zambia. Then I went back and then got my PhD in 1988. Yes, then came home. Yeah, it was a group, it was a Canadian government-sponsored project. And there were quite a lot of us. I think there were, in total, probably 40 of us.
From Zambia?
From Zambia, from the School of Agriculture. Yes. A few of us came back, unfortunately, not everybody. Both unfortunately. Yes, so my qualifications are in agriculture, as I said, the first degree. My second degree is in irrigation and soil physics. In fact, a lot of people know me more for my soil physics. And then my PhD is in soil mechanics, which is basically the strength of soil, but with the emphasis on its use in agriculture. Yes. So that's where my qualifications are. But my strength in this field is more from my personal interest in the field. When I was a very small boy, in the village, there was only one government officer who I recall even up to now. He was the agricultural officer. And he used to, outside his house, he had the weather station. Rainfall, temperature. So every morning I would go to near the house and watch him come out of his house with his white coat to go and take the temperature. And I think that is really what got me a lot interested in agriculture. Because I didn't know what he was doing, but for me that was science. So that is what I think prompted me. Then I think during the struggle for independence, although I was quite small, I loved reading a lot. And in the village, we had a small library. I don't know who did that library. It was just some grass-thatched house and a shelf. And on the shelf, there was an encyclopedia. It was an American encyclopedia, and you know American books tend to be colorful as opposed to the British, which tend to be rather dull. So that encyclopedia, I would sit, there were no chairs, so I would sit on the floor on my legs and read this encyclopedia. And I read the whole encyclopedia.
Oh, really?
The whole of it. So I think those two things really got me interested in science, and specifically in agriculture. So that's where my agriculture comes from. Yes.
Just before we proceed, how small or how big is your family?
Well, my family is quite big, I would say. A lot of people know my brother.
Yeah, I know your brother, Honorable Bob Schinga.
Yes.
But just your wife, your children, I think that one would be a blessing.
Yes. I've got my brothers. I think in total we were 9. 2, 3 now have passed on. I personally have 8 children.
Oh, 8 children.
4 boys, 4 girls. Yes, yeah. But they are big. A lot of my friends may not recall, but I'm 69 now.
Oh,
69 years, yes. So my first daughter is in the States. She's married there. I've got 2 grandchildren with her. The other one is here right now, but she's also just finishing her PhD, also from the States. But the boys are going. One is in University of Nicosia.
Where is that?
That is in Cyprus. Yes. Then one is here, the one that is doing medicine.
The one I met?
Yes, the one you met.
Yes.
Yes. Then the other one is at Baobab. Then the other three are still in early school. Yes. And then,
oh, you and your wife have done a great job, and I know that that will pay off in the future, because I'm seeing that you are not being spared from gray hair. And for it coming in,
yes.
One day you will need a walking stick.
A stick, that's true. That's true.
I'm a little bit confused, Dr. Schinga. You have saved at the government level.
Yes, sir.
Which came first? Lecturer at University of Zambia, or PS or PS or?
No.
Can you run us down?
All right. Basically, when I went to Canada, the Canadians were sponsoring the university, were sponsoring our country to help us to develop our agriculture. So all the time that I was in Canada, I was on a Canadian scholarship, but in support of the University of Zambia. So when I came back home, I started teaching at the University of Zambia. University of Zambia is a very interesting, especially the School of Agriculture, because we basically it's almost from the start it's been was an independent institution in the terms of personnel. We did have a few foreigners, but for only a few years. For example, by the time I was finishing, the people that were helping me in those classes, Dr. Mwenya, Dr. Chimwano, the late Chimwano, unfortunately, Dr. Obed Lungu, Dr. Chinene. So we are almost Zambian trained, although our colleagues. Some were going to school together. Some went earlier than us. So that is where what I like about the School of Agriculture. Unfortunately, some of our colleagues, when we were abroad, things were not easy here. The school was not really functioning as an institute, especially that we spent a lot of time learning to be researchers, and you come home and you couldn't do research because the facilities were not there, the equipment was not there. But some of us felt that it was important that we hung around. So basically, I was at the university. Although this is not the forum for it, it was while we were at the university that a number of us, I've never said this, but I'll say it today. Because I was one of the people that helped to change government from our first founding president, Dr. Kaunda, to your namesake, President Chiluba. Yes, and that came about because we felt that the country deserved better. Not that we were more that the old man had done his part, and that it was time for us to take on the mantle. Yes. So basically, even when I was working for government, when President Chiluba took over, he asked some of us to help contribute because he felt that he needed certain personnel in government to help him with the development process. So I was one of those people that he actually asked the university to second us to government. So I was seconded then from the university to the government. But even that as it was, I insisted that I should continue to teach. So although very few people knew when I was in government, I was teaching at the university. Sometimes I was teaching in the evening, sometimes I was teaching very early in the morning, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, because the number of qualified people was not there. So if you leave the university, you come to government, yes, you are contributing in government, but you leave a gap there. So that prompted some of us to volunteer in that sense, because although you are working in two places, it was not really for the monetary benefit, but because we felt that agriculture had to be helped to
But
emerge.
you served as PS in different
Yes,
fields?
I started with agriculture, then I went to commerce. From commerce, I went to energy. Then I went back to the university when President Levy, late President Levy, Manawasa came. And then within a year, he called me back. At that time, I had actually I was also advisor to the Prime Minister in Ethiopia, basically on the planning how to revamp their agriculture. Yes. So I would spend 2 weeks in Ethiopia, and then, so the president then, our president, Mr. Manawasa, called me and said, well, look, we also don't have people. I said, but unless you ask me to do something, I would like to spend my time working. But when he offered me to come back, I felt that perhaps my country needed me more than working in Ethiopia. So I came back and joined his government. And that's how eventually I started working with our president, later on to be Serupia Banda.
Oh.
Yes. So at that time.
And you were chief of staff?
Chief of staff.
At State House?
Yes. Yes.
So after President Rupia Banda left, you went back to university?
I went back to university, yes.
Now, sorry to say this, Doctor, I know you can't blow your own trumpet, but I heard you saying that you were helping Ethiopia to revamp its agriculture program.
Yes.
What stopped you from revamping the agriculture sector of Zambia?
Well, first of all, remember what I said. I said that when President Chiluba asked us to come to work in the government, it was not me alone, it was quite a number of us. It was because we felt that Zambia needed us, and indeed it did need us, because when we went to government at that time, I laugh when my friends complain we don't have this, because when we went to government, I remember we were 16 of us. He saw in 16 of us that particular day. When we went to government, we didn't have headed paper. I know people now look at government and laugh. We didn't have headed paper, and I think you know something else. You go to the airport had potholes inside the main airport building. But I think we were very enthusiastic. So the whole idea of going to government was to help revamp government. And I think we did make a difference. I think we did help. There was a school of thought in the country. Some people felt that these people who have been to school too much, they are theory, they talk theory, they don't talk. But I recall my boss then, who was our secretary to cabinet. He was from South Africa. He was a colored, but South African.
What was his name?
I'm trying to recall.
Mr. Sanders?
I'll recall it. But I think most people know he worked most of his life here in Zambia. He was very, very good. He was very encouraging, and I think we did achieve.
Sachika?
No, it was after Sachika. Yes. Well, by the time we went to government, Mr. Sachika had retired. Yeah, I remember the name. He was colored. He was very, you know.
I'm trying to remember.
Yes, I also recall. So I apologize, I can't remember. Yeah, that's the one we worked with. So the reason I had gone to Ethiopia was that during the period that I was working in government, I did meet a lot of people, international people, international organizations, international people. For example, people from IFAD, the Agricultural Institute for Under FAO, It's like semi-private, but it works very well together with FAO. And then I also knew a lot of people through FAO. But here in Zambia, I found a lot of people from Sweden, from Norway, and Finland, specifically Norway and Finland. And when I was teaching at the university, before I joined government, I was working for these people, predominantly in Western Province, but also in Central and Southern Province, while I was teaching. So basically what I did is I negotiated with my dean. So Monday I taught, Tuesday I taught, Wednesday I taught, then Thursday very early, around 3, I drove to Western Province. And I would work in Western Province on Wednesday and on Friday and Saturday and come back on Sunday. Yes, but that is something I had learned in Canada, to work like a mad person, if you will. And I enjoyed that. And I was working in Western Province basically to introduce rice, the famous Mongo rice. Very few people know who took Mongo rice to Western Province. That was my work. That was my work.
My goodness.
Yes. So I worked in Western Province. Then later on, I was also again through the Norwegians and the Dutch. I was asked to write a program of development for mostly Western Province, agriculture development.
May I intercept here, Dr. Schinga? Would you say that Zambia's policies on agriculture are not up to date, or they are obsolete, or what has gone wrong? Because agriculture is not a subject that has excited a lot of Zambians, and also the effects of agriculture, apart from maize, I grew up eating in Shima, the effects of agriculture are not felt by the grassroots. What would you say is wrong? Is it the policies or the implementations of the policies?
That's a very, very important question. I'm sure I recall the late Mr. Mdenda.
The Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Mr. Mdenda is somebody, a lot of us who are in the academia, in the agriculture, very few people knew what his field was. He was from agriculture.
Oh, really?
Yes. If you go to Mount Makulu, there is a house. There's the first Kumayadi house. It's a lone house there. That's where he lived. He was the first Zambian graduate to work in the Ministry of Agriculture. But
wow.
Yes, and I got to know, I was very interested in what had happened in Zambia before, but he asked me exactly the same question. He said I grew to be close to him, so I could learn from him. And I asked him, or he asked me, he said, Austin, you people, now you have the qualifications we didn't have at the time that we got independent. What do you think we've done wrong all these years? So the question you're asking is the question I think that he asked at that time. And so I felt that perhaps it was necessary for somebody to write something about. And I didn't write, but I did take an interest in this question. It is not a question of the policies being so difficult. It is our lack of understanding what agriculture is. You see, Pastor Chluga, a lot of people think agriculture is an easy subject. It is not. In fact, as a sector, a business or an industrial sector or a development sector, it is more difficult, in my opinion, than things like engineering. For example, if you want to make nails, or if you buy a machine, and they tell you, okay, this machine will cut 100,000 nails in a day. As long as you've got your wire, as long as you've got this, and you buy those things, you will get your 100,000 nails that day. If you come to agriculture, I say, okay, we've got 5 cows here. I expect that next year we'll get 10. You can't guarantee that to me. It doesn't matter what you do, because we don't know. It may indeed get pregnant, but the calf may die. So agriculture has one difficulty that very few people appreciate, and a lot of people talk about agriculture as if it's not an easy subject, because whether it's maize, whether it is cattle, whether it is even fisheries now that everybody's talking about fisheries, these are very difficult because they are not predictable. They're not predictable because partly in our type of environment, we are reliant on God's will.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
some days we get good rain, sometimes we don't get. So the policies today, some of it is policies, but most of it is the lack of appreciation of what is needed. A lot of things are happening now that didn't happen at the time that I went to school, to the university, I mean, to study agriculture. The reason these things are happening now is because in some cases we've done good policies. In a lot of cases, the policies are there. But a policy without the backing, without the necessary resources to support the implementation of that policy so that you get results, if that is not there, that policy is as good as nothing. And that is half our problem. Even today, you mentioned the issue of eating shima. We all eat in shima. And every year, my colleagues, my friends, whom we have worked with in the political world, get very excited when they are announcing a bumper harvest of maize. At the end of the day, we should ask ourselves, what are we going to do with it? We don't even know whether we should sell it or not sell it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. We will send the maize to Malawi. No, you can't send the maize to Malawi. Well, we send the maize to DRC. No, we can't send the maize to Congo. In the end, the maize rots. But what is rotting is all that fertilizer that we put in. It's all that seed that we put in. It's all that effort. So it has the failure of, it's not, I wouldn't call it a failure because we've seen some good things. And maybe we'll talk about them. But inconsistencies. I'll give another example. ASIP. You know, the people think I was the PS. I was the permanent secretary who created ASIP. Very few people know that.
What's the difference between ASIP and FISIP?
FISIP is a child of ASIP. The sector investment program, which we started with, I negotiated with the World Bank. When that, and that, I don't need to mention names, but some people, when they came in, they cancelled that within a year of starting a program. That was supposed to be a 5-year program, and then we're going to. Now, we hadn't done anything, because by the time they gave us the money, that was going to be the first year that we were now going to. It didn't happen. That's why I was saying, people think agriculture is simple. You put a maize in the ground and it grows, and it doesn't work. It's like the fruit trees we were talking about earlier today. You plant that. It will be 6 years before you harvest your first fruit. So these things don't happen overnight. You know, you need to nurse them. You need to, the same, if you recall, as I said, I worked in Western Province, when our friends started growing cashew nut. Yes, it grew, and yes, we harvested, but did we maintain it? We couldn't maintain it. It wasn't, the industry died. It died because our production levels were far below the international. Why were they below the international levels? They were below the international levels because we didn't support them with research all the time. So the failure for those areas that have failed has been because we have been inconsistent. People go They appointed ministers, some competent, some not so competent, in fairness. Some not so competent. And this is not unique to agriculture. It is, I think it happens in a lot of other industries. The problem with that is that, and also our political friends have also their own interests to serve. They have to show the people that what they had promised during the campaign, they are delivering. So you will find that a lot of changes start to happen. You cannot master anything in agriculture in less than a year.
But are you saying FISIP
Yeah.
is good or is it bad?
No.
FISIP program.
The FISIP program has been totally taken out of context. That was not the intention. I was working at that time, my minister was Honorable Zukas. A fantastic minister, wonderful. I mean, a very supportive person. When we developed FISIP, in fact, it started with ASIP, Agriculture Sector Investment Program. That's the one I went to the World Bank to negotiate. And when we went to FISIP and what developed because we did not have at that time a marketing system other than the parastatal, which was the cooperative. The cooperative received money from government and used that money like it was a gift. It was not run commercially. That was not unique to agriculture. It happened with Zambia Airways. Same. It happened with a lot of other parastatals where the money was thought to be, since it was government money, we shouldn't pay it. But it was not. It was money for the people. It needed to be used in a way that it could grow and more people could benefit. So that's how ASIP came to be FISIP. It came to be FISIP because ASIP was a wider program in that it had production and marketing and whereas when it came to, or at least it was felt at that time that the most difficult thing was the marketing part. But in fact, it was not just the marketing. What was needed was to plan it in a way that there were linkages from seed, from fertilizer, from all of these need to be linked so that none of them is pulling the whole program down. So this is what happens. So if you ask me, from my knowledge and from having participated in the early part of FISIP and these other things, FISIP, even today, if you do your arithmetic, our friends, the accountants and the auditors can calculate, you will not find a year where it has made money. Yet we say we have a bumper crop.
But why is it so?
It is so because, as I said, the linkages are not clear. At the time that I was working with Honorable Zukas, our objective was simple. Let's help the people. Unfortunately, we were also unfortunate at that time because there were 2 years in a row where we had drought. So part of the reason that FISIP developed was how do we help our farmers who may have lost their crop through drought. So it was felt that, look, let's let government support them with resources, and then hopefully they can stand on their own feet after that. But it became political. If you didn't bring the fertilizer under FISIP, you lost. So that then took away that, I think, the way we had planned it to be. So today, I don't support it because it does not graduate. I mean, our people don't graduate.
Yeah. I want to ask a question, Doc. Let's come back to my area. I've developed so much passion and interest
in agriculture.
I'm a pastor, but I feel I will make a very successful farmer.
I hope so.
With people like you around me.
Sure.
Now, the question is it possible for a person who has not been trained in agriculture field, like me,
Yes.
who has no idea, to just pick up passion and interest and say, I'm going to be one of the most respected farmers in Zambia? Is it possible?
Yes, it's possible. It's possible because, I mean, here, I haven't talked to this gentleman for, I think you've heard of Mr. Chilala.
Yeah, Mr. Chilala.
Yes, he's a very good friend of mine, although I've not seen him in recent years. He's not formally trained. Yeah. He started working in near Nanga, the National Agriculture Irrigation Research Station, here at Mazabuka. That's where his first farm was. He was not in Mkushi at first. And he became one of the biggest Zambian farmers.
Commercial farmers.
Yeah, very successful. So, yes, the important thing for you to be successful, you must be prepared to learn. You must be prepared to. It's like any other business. You must be able to listen to people. You must be able to read what's going on now. What are the new? Like I said, for example, when we were growing cashew, our cashew could not compete because cashew was competing with people, countries like Brazil. Brazil was producing 9 kilos per tree.
That is Brazil.
That was Brazil. We were producing
Zambia?
5
kgs.
5 kgs
Per tree.
per tree. So that's just, those are statistics we use to compare how are we doing. It's like even maize.
And what is the difference? Is it because of their environment?
No, it's our management. Our management is not up to date, but also it was not ours. We did not support it. We planted the trees and we sat back and said, let's bring the fruit now.
But there is money in cashew nut.
Yes, there is. There is. It's a major, one of the big nuts in terms of international markets. It's got a market all the time. So there is money in it. And if, Pastor Chuba, you go to Western Province, it's sandy. It's not very conducive for certain crops, but it's very conducive for tree crops. By tree crops, I mean cashew, I mean
Almond.
mangoes, I mean oranges. If you go to Western Province, and as I did, 5-6 years I was working there, they produce beautiful oranges.
Right there.
Right there. But you see, if you talk of big, they'll say, oh, well, if we do a big farm here, big estate, what are we going to do? You're going to process it and sell it.
Oh, Jehovah.
Yeah. So this is these are some of the things where you ask me the big question: why is our agriculture stagnating? You know. Now, there's another factor which greatly affects our agricultural productivity. We are one of those countries where it's like we have two countries in one. And this manifests itself very clearly in agriculture. Because in agriculture, you've got the commercial farmers and you've got our parents, the small-scale farmers. If you look at the commercial farmers or the commercial farms, for example, Nakambala Sugar Estate, very few people know that the Nakambala holds a record in Africa, in fact in the world, for production of sugar per hectare.
Really?
Nakambala Sugar Estate holds that record. So, in other words, Zambia produces some of the best, the highest yields of raw sugar. It's there. So, yet, you know, only now, as you know, the last 10 years it has increased. Similarly, I think I mentioned to you the issue of beef. You know, in Africa, I don't know any country, even South Africa, if we were to compare purely on quality, the quality of Zambian, but who is producing this quality beef? And it is the commercial farmer. So, how come the commercial farmer produces and the local farmer has not benefited from learning from the commercial farmer?
Can you imagine?
Yes. And, you know, today, even as we speak, I did not mention names, but there are Zambians who are very good beef producers. Our president is a very good...
President Echeche.
Yes. Whether, I'm not talking politics. I'm talking the fact that he works hard and he produces. A friend of mine, in fact, he was younger than me. When I was at Munali, he was in the same house as me. When I was the young man, now with my age almost, Mr. Jangulo. He's also a big.
Jangulo, this
Morris.
Man who I think is related to airlines as well.
Yes, the one who used to own Zambezi.
Yes.
He's a very good producer. He's fortunately for him, he's an agriculturist like me, except his specialization. And the pastor, when we were going to school, there were no Zambian qualified people. But if you were to go today in government, the Zambian government, in the civil service, the Minister of Agriculture has perhaps, other than medicine, where their doctorate is slightly different from, you will not find any ministry that has more qualified people than the Ministry of Agriculture.
Really?
Yes.
Who are degree holders?
Oh, not degree holders, PhD holders.
Really?
Yes, half of them were my students. They are there. But, what's the output? The output is not very reassuring. People will say, but we can ask a question. Why is Kenya so successful?
In agriculture?
Yes, it's got no industries. It's got industries. But almost all the industries that they've got have grown from agriculture. The question you're asking me in the day. Yes. So, how can our brothers in Kenya be so successful?
And we are not.
And we are not.
Is it because there is more rain there?
Well, no. Well, to some extent, but those can be mitigated against. The difference is when you are qualified and when you want to be a farmer, you'll have to learn at some point whether if you're going to grow a crop that needs water in the dry season to irrigate it. Yeah, that's what's going to make you a good farmer. When we mention the Chilalas, it's because he learned those things. And
not because he went to university.
No. University helps, yes. That's why you trained us. Go to school to Canada, study irrigation, so you can come and help our people to know how to irrigate their crops. That is what these institutions are for. The sad part is, you've got a university, you've got a school of agriculture. Today, as I speak, that school was built by our own efforts, we the Zambians who were there. But it's not complete today. I am sure you'll be shocked to know that. The School of Agriculture at the University of Zambia is 1/3 built.
Really?
Yes.
And that shows you how the government attaches its importance to agriculture.
Well,
because you know what, doctor, put it this way.
Yeah.
I have seen that in our nation, sometimes there is a lot of heavy political voice without meaning to it.
That's what I was saying earlier.
The political voice is bigger.
Inconsistencies.
But yeah.
So you say, no, we're going to build this country. I also, as it happens, you saw recently, Dr. Kaunda sent some of us. I was a student at that time, but I had this hands-on thing. I went to Solwezi. I was in Solwezi for 3 months. We were surveying where they had. Remember at one time Dr. Kaunda came to the University of Zambia and said, we're going to build a school of agriculture in a rural area. And they chose the site, beautiful site, in Solwezi, after Solwezi Sages. I worked there myself.
You liked the site?
Beautiful site. Beautiful site.
Was that to replace the NRDC or?
No, it was going to be, because NRDC, if you recall, was meant for diploma holders.
Oh, okay.
This was going to be for the School of Agriculture, which now we have here. Fortunately, I think government is trying, I think, to do another one, Kuchinsali. I'm not very sure, but I think so. Then our brothers in SDA, in Chikankata. Those are the schools of agriculture that I know of. But if you look at all these schools, including my own school, which I think does a lot of work. If I asked today, I said, what is it that has come out of
the School of Agriculture?
Exactly. very few things that we can. I'm not saying my colleagues are not working. They're working. I was one of them. But I'm saying, without putting in resources, without really planning this thing in such a way that the benefits become visible. Because in the end, and there you can't blame government, because this job is perhaps to build a school. But what I'm saying, what we were observing here, but the school is not finished. The school, my department, I'm from Soil Science Department. The government built that part of this school. Soil science, crop science are built. But animal science is not built. Agricultural economics is not done. Later on, through people who have initiative, some people who are in food science, again, pleaded with EDONA. So EDONA built the School of Food Sciences. It's there. But these other schools, Samora Machel's veterinary school was built much bigger than the School of Agriculture. It does not make sense, because School of Veterinary draws from agriculture. It's not an independent
department.
No. Their job is to help us to solve the animal diseases. The animals will not be produced if agriculture does not produce cows and goats. So this is what I was saying by inconsistency. I'm planning that lacks clarity, and so you've got the vet school, big school of vet. Today, you can't even fill it with students, because the idea at the time that Dr. Kaunda and his colleagues were building it, the thinking was, all right, we didn't have any other school in the region. So maybe Botswana, maybe Zimbabwe, maybe. But before that happened, before we finished building this school, they built their own. I went to Canada, which is a rich country. The whole of Canada, Western Canada, the prairies and whatever, they've got one vet school at the University of Manitoba. So if you come from Alberta, where I was, you did your first 2 years, and then you moved to do your veterinary studies at Manitoba. That's how you can't just, like Zambia is, and the resources that we have. You can't build all these universities, but you are not supporting them with resources. Because the institutions of university is research. Number one, it must do research, must do teaching. That is what keeps the Brazilian cashew giving them 9 kilos, ours giving us 5. Maize, today we are planting all sorts of seed. 2 weeks ago, Tunisia has stopped growing GMO. Tunisia, they've stopped all these so-called improved varieties which were they given to their people. Why? Because when the weather started fluctuating, the so-called improved crops failed. Their traditional crops did not fail. When I was at school, we had one variety of maize. It was called SR52, Southern Rhodesia 52. That meant it was produced in Southern Rhodesia. Zamseed, before it was privatized, Zamseed has some of the best maize parent material in the world. Zamseed. I don't know where that is, whether government gave that up together with selling the company. I was chairman of Zamseed at one point. But what I'm saying this because that is an area we didn't need help. But now you have how many? You've got Pioneer, you've got, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with bring. In fact, I prefer the competition. But though that competition should not have bothered us, because that is a part Dr. Kaunda and his people had resolved, had sorted out. But they did not sort out certain things. Other things in the sector as a whole. And that's what they were passing on to the next generation to say, look, We've done our part. And I think that's what our former Prime Minister Mlenda was asking me to say, Austin, why don't you study this thing and tell us what is it we're doing wrong?
You see, Dr. Sichenga, I've got a different view which needs correction from time to time by people like yourselves. In most cases, failure to make progress in our country,
Yes.
I attribute it to political leadership. The reason being, don't say anything. You can be questioned or jailed. Me, I'm a pastor. I am just saying that political leadership has failed from time to time. What I mean is this. Here you are, with all the qualifications you have. We have, like my uncle, Magande.
Yes. I know him very well.
Magande is one of the authorities in his area.
Yes.
Yourself and those people that you trained with. But the problem Zambia has is the political preference. Once I know that you do not support my party and you are working with that one, the moment I come into power, my duty is to sort you out.
Yes.
Not knowing that we are actually degrading this nation. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, Dr. Sichenga, I'm now here.
Yeah.
Please find me other qualified people. Find me your fellow scientists. Let's improve on what Dr. Kaunda left.
Correct.
I think this is the problem that I have in this nation. Whoever comes and takes over,
you're not the only one.
He's got his own agenda, his own people. Whether they are riffraffs or cadres, just bring them as long as you have a political muscle. That's a problem I have in this country.
You are not the only one. It's a problem that I think is self-created. Because it is us, ourselves, the Zambians, that have created that problem. And there's no reason why you should even apologize, because it's correct that the failure of these things, like I said, so you produce 3 million tons of or bags of million tons of maize for what? Because it sits there, then it rots, then you throw it away. So what is it that you have achieved? On the other hand, Pastor Chilwa, you may recall, Zambia used to have problems with bread.
Yeah.
A very simple matter. Not fortunately, I was at agriculture at that time. President Chilwa called me and said, what are we going to do? So I said to the late President Chilwa, I said, Your Excellency, why can't we produce wheat? Because by then we had already started irrigated wheat. I said, I think I know why. He said, why is it, Manawes? I said, it's because we do not give the Zambian producer of wheat the same amount as we pay for the wheat when we import it. Yes. And that was the only reason why they couldn't produce wheat. And after that, he said, you think that's the main? I said, there may be other reasons, but I am convinced that this is the main. And indeed, Pastor Chilwa, we increased the price of wheat, local wheat. Within 1 year, 2 years, we were self-sufficient.
Oh, really?
Yes. And now we are back to, because there was again, what I was talking about, follow-up was not there. Support in research was not there. But we became self-sufficient within 2-3 years. Yeah. So these are the things that have, I think, we have to deal with. Yeah, we will have to deal with.
Dr. Sichenga, help me. I know President HH is from the UN, maybe is tired, is not watching national matters, but certainly his advisors and other people are watching.
Yes.
People like me and our team. When I say our team, Dr. Sichenga, Camnet TV has mobilized professors,
Yes, sir.
doctors, scientists like yourselves, that I am feeling like, as a nation, failure should not be in our mouth.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
But I am not president to call the shots for some of these things. But how do we come in and help the politicians and help to drive this nation forward?
We do it by being participants. Being participants on a daily basis. The things, the little things I've said, for example, I've said, yes, maize, we can produce a lot of maize, and we should, because we eat it. But it should not be our number one priority. We should produce other things that we need. We won't eat just maize. We want beans, you know. So all I'm saying is that we have to balance how we put our resources. And we cannot work half committed. This, we'll leave it for now. Next year to Kabwela. You know, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It has to be, okay, we'll grow maize now because the rains are going. And now, you know, it has to be done in an orderly manner. And
because, Dr. Sichenga, I think you and I, this program today, will take it to 02 so that the Zambians can understand. I'm saying 2 years ago,
yes,
before COVID, my wife and I had this edge to say, no, we can't be at this level. First and foremost, as pastors,
yes.
And this is how it began.
Yes.
Because you see, as pastors, we preach messages which are so hard.
Correct.
Making the congregants become guilty if they don't bring an offering, you know.
Yes.
And we have spent all our years in theology, teach the people how to bring the tithe, teach the people how to give. But 2.5 years ago, my wife and I had this paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And we said, what if we get involved?
Yeah.
Work, produce, and feed our church members.
Yes.
And improve their lives. Those who don't work, most of the people, they come to church, they are begging half the time, Pastor.
Yes.
And that kind of thing.
Correct.
So
I appreciate that. I see that.
It bothered me, and out of personal interest, my wife and I just said, we are going to be one of the best, not the best, of course, one of the biggest,
yes,
notable farmers in Zambia.
Correct.
And the journey began.
Yeah.
So whether somebody believes in our small vision or not, but we have begun.
No, it is the vision is never small. As far as I am concerned.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, our mistakes are that sometimes we've not been consistent. Even us, for example, at my level, when you're doing a project, we've learned all those things about how do you plan, how do you make sure that that particular program you're working on succeeds. What makes you succeed? You have even what we call flags. You know, when you start a project, when you reach this flag, now you can go to the next. But what will happen in our country? Sometimes, unfortunately, because of people who are thieves, they will cheat. Instead of the project going through its anticipated phases, they will skip one or the other. You know, in the meantime, because the resources are not fully there, the project cannot be completed to the door. Yeah. It means now the money that was put in before, the effort you have put in, it may not be in money time, but the effort of persuading the people, all those things are lost. And that is what we have to deal with. It's different in some areas, because in some areas there are things of a physical nature that are barriers to development. But well, we also have our own barriers, but there are also great opportunities. And these are the ones that you are seeing, that you are saying that you would like to get involved.
Yeah, because Dr. Sichenga put it this afternoon, I was telling you, there are about 1,800 Zambians who watch CAMNET on daily basis, in America, Europe, and the number keeps on growing.
Growing, yes.
And yesterday with my wife, we had the historical service. Yesterday into today, by the way.
Yeah.
We began the service at 12:30 in the night, Sunday, to about 2 o'clock this morning. We were in the studio here with Caribbean Islands. We linked up. We had a joint service with the bishops there. Now, that already has also gone viral there. In the people watching Camnet TV from time to time, like I told you the afternoon, one Zambian is in charge of the markets in America, Washington, Maryland, all those.
Areas, yes.
And he flew out here to just come and say, Pastor Chiluba, do you know what opportunities are there? What you talk about? And a lot of things. Yesterday, he landed in Washington. He's gone back.
Yes.
But this Thursday is leaving Washington. In fact, he's leaving on Thursday. Friday, he will be here. Because he's one of the speakers at our conference.
Correct.
But just giving the people the opportunities. I could not believe, Dr. Sichinga, that the same avocado pear I buy here for 20 kwacha.
Yes.
In America, they want it for $10, $12.
Yes. No.
Now you say, you mean Zambia doesn't know the markets? They don't have this? But thank God our Zambian is the one in charge of receiving fruits and vegetables from outside America.
Correct.
So why not give the people the
opportunities? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, like I said earlier, you see, for us, for me, like being a lecturer, I still consider myself a lecturer because that's my first career. And whenever I had my students, the one thing that I also learned was to give them confidence. Was to teach them that if you are prepared to work hard and you learn and master the sciences, you can be anything. But it was because I was a teacher, I had to impart it in them so that they have the confidence to go out there. And a lot of our students have learned these things, whether they are veterinarians or doctors, but even doctors, medical doctors for human beings, there are some, they're afraid to give injections.
Really?
Yes, they're there. They're there.
That's a good one.
It's the same with agriculture. Some, they just can't relax, can't release their energies in certain fields. Like I'm saying, very few people knew that Zambia could produce wheat to the level where, even now, we are still having problems. Sometimes the wheat runs out or whatever. Why can't we grow more? Because now we don't have the problem that that my minister Zuka Sadatam and I had to solve of why couldn't we expand the wheat production. We solved it. But nobody has done anything to improve it further. That is, I think, where half our problems are, is that people think you finish these things. We don't think. As I've told you, a lot of young Zambians, a majority who are my students, have PhDs from very good, very reputable universities. So why should we still be starving? Why should we still be having questions about simple matters of, I'm not talking of the sophistication, the sophisticated science, because there are sophisticated issues that we don't have the resources. But as I said, you got a school that is not built. You don't have laboratories. You don't have medicines for livestock, so that the students can learn that when they go out, they will not be afraid. Because they've dealt with it in school. The school, if the school has trained them properly, they are trained. They know what to do. Yeah.
For a long time, Doctor, we've grown up to know, and when I was young, I used to hear between Congo and Zambia, this word smuggler, I
Yes.
didn't understand it. I thought they were smuggling copper
Yes.
or smuggling other things,
Yes, but
not
it was,
knowing it was maize.
many.
So
Yes.
you mean Zambia cannot get foreign exchange from just exporting
Thank you.
maize to
Another
Congo?
very simple. I remember very well. I keep mentioning people who are arresting, but sometimes it's good to go back and look at the things we did well. President Chilwa called me one day and said, "What do we do with Congo?" I said, "Your Excellency, very simple." He said, "What do you mean simple?" I said, "Give them the maize." Even now, if I had an opportunity to speak to our new president, I would tell him that, "Mr. President, give it to them. They'll pay for it. And they pay for it in dollars. Give the Congolese the maize." Because we did have the maize. And make sure that the producer of the maize is given a good price so that he can produce more maize.
Absolutely.
Zambia, as I said, maize, because of this bulkiness, is difficult to transport. We can transport it to Europe, whatever, but we can transport it to Congo. We can transport it to Tanzania, up to Iringa or after Mbeya, those who know Tanzania. Malawi has no maize that particular year. They want to buy maize from them. Why do you want to say, no, you can't buy maize from us? What are you going to do with all this maize, these heaps you have got?
Which will end up rotting.
Rotting. Exactly. So the issue is both policy. Why do people want to hang on to this so-called bumper harvest? What's a bumper harvest? How can every year be a bumper harvest? Something doesn't, to me, with my training, it doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It can't be a bumper harvest forever. Even in our own country, we say, no, don't send the maize to Malawi, don't send the maize to DRC, don't send the maize to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, who used to feed us at one time. Now suddenly they don't have maize. You say, no, you can't send the maize to Zimbabwe. So
why not grow in bulk and send it to Zimbabwe,
precisely,
send it to Congo,
everywhere.
And we have something to eat?
Something very interesting. I used to also be on the board of Mpongwe, you know, the ZCCM mines. Yeah. At the time that the issue of this GMO maize came about, people said, no, I gave my advice to my knowledge, but the president created a team that studied this further and advised him. Correctly so. I am a scientist. I'm not saying Zambia should never use GMO. I'm not saying that. I am saying it is not something, and this is what I said to the President Mwanawasa at that time. It's not something you jump in simply, because we don't read much here. But Brazil suffered very badly from scabies, which were caused by GMO. Yes. And this is a fact. I mean, there are books on these things. And so this is why some of us were saying, for us, we do not yet have the capacity to spend so much money on these minute things which do not change the real picture. So leave that for now. Let's grow natural maize. What's the difference, the big difference? Why does GMO create problems? And it's very simple. If you breed maize naturally, which we trained to do, it will take you an average of maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years for one variety, new variety to come out. Because once you have bred for this year, you plant it to see what happens. When it has grown and is about to mature, you pick out the good crops and you tie them up, and then you come and pick them. That's what you use for the next generation. And that's how we improve them.
So we can restore that old maize?
Yes, it's there.
The one
you don't
we
even
used
have
to have, where it's black, yellow.
I have it myself. But it's there. It's there. And you see, if you go to Mexico, Mexico is a major user of maize, perhaps even more than us. But at the sun, you know, the Mexicans, they eat a lot of, you know, this thing they call it, you know, the maize that they crush and then they make like bread and eat. You will find in those things, some of them is purple maize. Yeah, and that is why one of the research institutes in the world is CIMMYT. It's in Mexico. So you go there to learn how to manage these things. Once you've known how to manage it, you manage it on your own. In 1974, I was still a student. India was starving.
India
was starving. I think it's 74, if I'm not mistaken. 74, around there, 75. The family, the Tata family, yeah, I remember the vehicles we see, Tata.
The Tata bus.
Yes, the old man,
yeah.
their grandfather, who started that company, was a very strong enthusiast, a supporter of agriculture.
Really?
Yes. So now, Nachilala and I was talking about wheat, about rice.
Rice, yeah.
Mongo rice. Where did Mongo rice come from? Very few people do. Mongo rice is very simple. Malawi fire, they call it. Where did it come from? This rice come from Pakistan. From Pakistan it went to India, and one of the people that paid a lot of money to sponsor these crops was Tata. You know, and today India produces enough. Although of course, as you know, right now they've got their own problems with the farmers. Since last year, the farmers are camping in New Delhi, asking for the government to change the law, which they've created. Now, but at least they solved the initial problem of starving. They don't starve anymore. But so why should we starve? We have even a smaller population, and we've got the ability to produce enough. We are producing enough food, but enough food is not maize. Number one. Number two, we are a developing country, and our people, the kids, do not eat very well. Our nutritional status is not one of the best. It's not something that we can go talk internationally with pride. Zambia, our children are malnourished.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Now you're scaring me.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody fat, tall,
well,
still...
unfortunately, you know, today obesity has become a problem to all of us. But I'm talking about...
Yeah.
That's why some people don't appreciate some of us, sometimes they say we're arrogant, we yap forever. I was a very active PS when I was at agriculture, and I've covered the whole of them. The only place I've not been to is Kaputa. But every district and Zambezi. Zambezi. I've been to Zambezi, but not Zambezi itself. And I was going to all these places for purposes of to see for myself, because I don't believe stories that were being told. But yes, today, as I said, I come from the other side of Isoka, ku border with Malawi. We were going to Kasama those days. We would pass from Myombe, we come to Isoka, from Isoka, we'd go through Mbesuma, what we call Mbesuma.
That's right.
And going to Kasama to Mborokoso, to Luwingo, and to Kawambwa. Now, every time I crossed Mbesuma, I don't understand, but I have what's the word? It attracts me. Yeah, it attracts me. It's very far from my home, but somehow it's got this attraction for me. And I'm saying this because when you travel around the country, then you see this poverty I'm talking about, this malnourished kids. And every time you get there, before, there was enough fish, muchambesh, and you would stop by to buy some fish, which you take home or whatever. And every time I got there, I would see these kids with the parents selling fish and whatever. But the kids, with flies all over. And up to now, that eats me. It really bothers me. I always ask God, how come a country of Zambia's resources can have its people starving like this? That is why people don't understand why people react with the elections the way this current election. I'm not talking politics, but what happened here? What happened here is anger. This is a vote of anger. This is what happened when Dr. Kaunda was again removed. Because during these elections, there was a very interesting thing. If you, for those people who, like myself who are at home, I was watching the television. Yeah, Kenya, Kenyans talking about Zambia, saying these people, these Zambians, are very interesting people. They removed Kaunda. Now they've removed their president, and then the journalist said, "But Zambians can do this, and yet we are seen to be a very passive people." But it comes from when you go and see that. You go and see here in the market, Soweto market. That's what we call it. I don't know what is correct name. It's a central market. You go in that market, in the market, you see how dirty it is, and there is food there. That is food that all of us see.
Are consuming.
Because we have nowhere else to get. Now, it's not just producing the food, it's marketing it in a clean environment. So that if in a land that malnutrition, undernourished kids, those kids I'm saying I see sometimes when, and for me as an individual, I don't know why that bothers me. When I see little children, and you say we have a bumper crop, and we have to ask the question, where is the bumper crop going?
May I ask this question, Doctor? In your own view,
Yes.
you see the government hasn't paid attention to building the agriculture school,
Yes.
which is a shame really, because we don't have priorities.
Yes.
You know, we would rather come up with an atomic bomb in Zambia,
Yes.
when we know we can't even fight our neighbor.
Yes.
Do you think if the government completes the School of Agriculture,
Yes.
and we pray it does so, do you think there will be a change in the economy of Zambia in terms of agriculture? What will the school exactly?
Well, first of all, why did we build the school? It is because unless you master the science of agriculture, and a lot of people think it's a simple,
No, it's
this
not.
genetics we talk about, these crops of maize, crops of soybeans. For example, this country was producing so much soybeans. Soybeans. It disappeared for a while, and then it came back. And I'm now touching a subject that a lot of people avoid. What happened? Because the first sponsor of soybeans in Zambia was the United States of America.
Really?
Yes.
Or during that time when there was a kind of hunger and what?
Soybeans was big, but it grew so fast. They took everything.
They took it?
They took it, yes. We had to restart. The varieties, I was a student at that time. We had to start all over again. That is why your own school, all that Zamseed had what was called Mount Makulu, which the first seeds. Mount Makulu. The first one, SR 52, I mentioned to you, I said was Southern Rhodesia 52. It was developed in 1952. It was released, but it was produced in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe now. Then it became GOV. GOV was the Golden Valley Farm, Pachisambapa. Now, we at Zamseed, there are over 14 varieties, plus the plant materials. The reason I think there, the father of the nation should be praised, because with that quality, those, you know, there are varieties of maize grown in Zambia that can give you 16 to 18 tons per hectare.
No.
Yes. Why not?
16
tons
per hectare.
They say in Zimbabwe, they say there's a 12-ton club, there's a 14-ton club, there's a 16-ton club.
And we have that in Zambia.
We have here in this country. I don't know now, since, of course, Zamseed was sold.
Just on that one, Doctor, we have the Camnet family who are coming on Friday, Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
There are those, this Friday and Saturday, there are those who would like to go into maize planting.
Yes.
And you know here, with the Camnet family, we don't want to be shooting in the dark.
No. Why? If you have knowledge, why should you?
That's what I'm saying. My wife and I, because of associating with you people, I'm saying this, the nation doesn't know how much I'm appreciating mixing or mingling with you people.
For us too.
I'm telling you. Now, can you identify that variety and be able to give our people who are coming on Friday and Saturday?
Well, if
can you propose that?
No, the proposals. In fact, these varieties, some of them is just that they don't all get published. But if you look at the pamphlets they give out, and again, why is it that this sort of knowledge is not shared with everybody? Again, it's how we manage that. Because that kind of knowledge, once people know, Zambia has had a very poor record of extension. Very poor. We can't compare to Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, a rural farmer, same inputs as a Zambian farmer, will produce approximately, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's either 44 or 54, but it's one of those bags of maize. I don't know now, but
per hectare,
yes,
yeah.
But we would produce something like 28
per hectare.
Per hectare. Same inputs, same everything same, but the Zimbabwean is was producing at that time
44, 45.
Yeah, 45 bags.
As we are producing 28.
Yes. Even Malawi would produce 38. Would be at 28. Now, what's the explanation there? Because now the science, it doesn't matter. It is explaining to the people how to correctly plant, how to correctly harvest, how to treat the crop well. Today, since we started talking when we were working with the late President Chiloba, when ShopRite came to Zambia from South Africa, the ShopRite bosses came here. And they found that the tomatoes that we produce in Zambia were of far better quality.
Really?
Yes. I'm not talking, I was at the ministry, it was my job. And they said, oh, perfect. We shall be producing tomatoes here. When our vehicles come from South Africa with other fruit and vegetables, they will collect tomatoes from here and take it there. It didn't happen. I, myself, drove with some of my staff from the ministry all the way past Kapiri. Today, Pastor Cho, you drive to the Copper Belt. It is tomato from Lusaka to past Kapiri Mposhi. It's tomato on the road. You come from, it's just so much tomato.
Even as you go to Chipata?
Precisely. Precisely. So, why can't we handle the marketing side in such a way? Why can't we sell it out? We can sell it out, of course, because you have to tie my colleagues in agricultural economics, they call it this, the chain, the production chain. It must be established so that we know, oh, Zambia produces good tomatoes. So, in South Africa, where is this tomato? In Europe or Canada or the States, or some of these countries, when you go in the market, they ask, where is this produce from? I went to school in Canada. Canada does not produce a lot of the vegetables in the cold season. It comes from Mexico. So, but once you know the source, you have Kulabana preference. We all, people develop a preference. I talked about mangoes. I mean, I've produced them myself.
I was going to come to that.
Yeah.
Because those mangoes you produce, when I'm in South Africa, even when I'm coming on the plane, I carry some.
If here they come, the same variety comes from South Africa into ShopRite.
The same ones you produce?
The same mangoes I produce, yeah.
And they grow as big, those Jewish people?
Yes. Even when I was in Ethiopia, one of the crops I was dealing with, mango, I dealt with mango, bananas, and other fruits. The advantage there, of course, they are nearer to Europe, so in terms of the planes come from Europe to pick them from Ethiopia, to take them to Europe. I went there because at that time they were like us. Those had been parastatals and they had been mismanaged. So it was my job was simply to clean up, make sure that the systems were working with modern habits so that they went back to their old markets to supply those things. So it's the same here. It's the same in Zambia. If we look at during Dr. Kaunda's days, they had pineapples that were produced in northwestern province. Yeah. Why can't we produce them now?
Doctor, I know that our team is watching this program and the Zambian people. I won't tempt you with this. I wanted to say, what crops should Zambia grow for export? And I want you to come, the team that is making a program, I want you to just come and give us 30 minutes of your time during the conference.
Sure.
Because I am passionate about the Camnet family.
Yes.
We've got such zeal. I want you to come and just mention what crops we should zero in, apart from maize. Maize, leave that. I know our Mbuyas, Chipata people.
Yes.
Maize, they are doing the fantastic job. But let's look at the crops.
No problem.
Things that we should
because
yeah.
I mentioned the late Mdenda. He inspired me. I look at these people as people that inspire some of us. I already know exactly what each province can produce and produce, not just for local use, but even for export.
This is what I'm saying, because when I was told, I tried to get in touch with you for a long time, and you, Honorable, said, please use this number.
Yes, sir.
Because one of the reasons why Zambians we have failed is to identify that you can't take cashew nuts to Kitwe.
No.
And you can't take apples to some place here. You know, well as in Honorable keeps on talking about Mafinga and Pika there, that apples can grow, these tangerines. I look at that, I was even telling my wife, I said, honey, look at these tangerines. I like that.
Yes.
Every day, I don't know how many I eat. Whenever I'm driving, I realize I don't have tangerines at home. 100 kwacha, 200 I buy.
Yes.
Those are coming from South Africa.
Yes.
And when I opened one tangerine with, sorry to say this, with some of the expert I was with, he said, you know, Pastor, these, though you are consuming them, they have outlived their life. Because there, they can't be bought.
Yes.
That's why they are being shipped to Zambia.
This is what I was saying
in
about
numbers.
International markets are very discriminating.
Yeah.
Not wrongly, to ensure that the people eat quality food. But that it means, therefore, that when as I was saying, I was small and I used to see the agricultural officer taking the temperature, the British and this, anybody who is takes an interest can go into our National Archives. It's here at UTH, opposite. That building, the National Archives.
Yeah, the one near the prison, between the prison and UTH,
precisely.
that one, yeah.
Yeah. There's material in there that will impress you. Things they were doing in the colonial days. And they were different because every year they had an annual report from the Department of Research, from each ministry department. In the case of agriculture, what research they had done, what had developed. If the termites ate the groundnuts, they told you. that this experiment failed because the termites ate the groundnuts. If you recall, Mufurila, Chipata, Mongu, Kumia in the north, I didn't see many, but these three I remember very clear. Mufurila, Mongu, Chipata, Apapa Kabwe, you know, just opposite where the barracks is.
Koima Barracks?
Yes, now on this side.
Barracks, yeah.
Yeah. Those were the where you could buy fruit trees. They were there. Today, I don't know. I don't know where you can buy fruit
Put
tree.
it this way, Doctor. Before we go on break and we open, I know Camnet TV viewers are just anxiously waiting to ask you questions. I'm enjoying myself here because I'm very passionate. And sometimes, to tell you the truth, and I'm not exaggerating, Doctor, I spend sleepless nights.
Yes.
I look at Zambia, I look at people, and thank God for the people that are subscribing with Camnet TV. My antennas are out there, internationally and locally.
Correct.
I have said to myself, within 5 years, Zambia must produce millionaires in dollars. Am I too ambitious?
No, you're not.
When it comes to agriculture?
You're not too ambitious. And actually, people like Chila.
Yes.
Our boss, our president now.
Yeah.
These are Zambians.
Yeah.
Who he says he had no shoes. I had no shoes when I said at school. So yeah, Zambia can produce, and Zambia will produce, but we the people collectively must want to produce. That's why I was saying, when I was teaching, one of the things any of my students will tell you, I told them when they first came, I said, if you have no ambition, you don't want to be too big, please don't step out of my class. Because I want quality. I'm not saying all of us are going to be PhDs, no. But I want my students to make an effort, to be somebody. And that is why sometimes when we talk, people don't understand the pain of seeing your students who can't get jobs.
And yet they have the qualifications.
Yes, and the country needs that.
And one of the things I must ask you honestly here, Doctor, I know our able team, which includes your elder brother, Honorable Schinga, we are working frantically to see to it that we get qualified extension officers.
Yes.
As I'm speaking to you, see where passion has taken us, Doctor. I have, my wife and I are in connection with a millionaire who wants to invest in Zambia big time. And we are doing everything from Europe.
Yeah.
He has asked me to say, Pastor Chiluba, for you to take care of this, please send one person. Send one person, let them come and learn how we do it in Europe. And he says he's going to pay for everything while he's here. He's there. And I said, doctor, he's a doctor, scientist like you. I said, doctor, can I send 2 people? My wife and I will buy air tickets to send those 2 people to Europe to come and learn for 3 months.
Yes.
Because he's paying their bills there and everything. These 2 people that we are sending, doctor, we want them to become an asset in Zambia.
Yes.
Because that crop or that agriculture produce we are talking about, it will spend millions of dollars here in Zambia.
Correct.
And we don't know it.
Yeah.
So you can see where my wife and I are going to.
It should take you there. Because in the end, your work, I mean your Christian work, you do it for God.
Absolutely.
And for his people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my...
You are right, Doctor. I won't fire these questions. Like, I'm very grateful on behalf of my wife and our team that you spare 30 minutes to come and educate the people who are coming to the conference. Because knowledge is power.
It is power.
And the Bible simply says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. May I download this from my people perish? Let me just change it a little bit.
Yes.
That Zambia has perished because of lack of knowledge. Yeah. We have no idea what to do with agriculture.
It's sitting there. Like I said, lots of PhDs go Mount Mako, lots of, virtually every province now.
And you mobilize them for our team. That is one of your tasks, Doctor, because I need all your students. Let's make a difference in this nation. We can. Dear Camnet TV viewers, we only take 2 adverts, and those of you who want to buy land and those of you who want to sell land, the second one is not, we should not put emphasis on selling, because money is in the ground. Those of you who want to buy or sell land, please contact this SGK and make sure that you talk to them. They are not doing it for charity. Talk to them, and as you come on Friday, this Friday and Saturday, you come loaded. And also, we are giving you the dates for the conference. Be assured that the conference is on this Friday. Those of you who haven't paid and those of you who are waiting, let me tell you, we're coming to close this very soon, because we don't want to start guessing how many plates should we save. You know, we are providing lunch for everyone coming, and sometimes Zambians, we like let going, you know, everywhere. Some, I'm sure, will come and say, "Ndefo kulipira fe pas do." Valon fwe advert, you say. May God bless you, Team Camnet, and my director. Give us those 2 adverts. After that, open the lines. In a few minutes, the people can ask Dr. Schinga what they have on their hearts.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Pondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN, 096 296 5883. For Airtel, 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Dear Camnet TV viewers, I'm in the studio with Dr. Schinga here, who's not just been a lecturer at University of Zambia, but has served as permanent secretary in different ministries and chief of staff at State House during Mr. Rupia Banda and a man of immense experience, if you want. And the question always has been, does Zambia deserve to be where we are in terms of agriculture and business? After this agriculture and everything, we're going to incorporate in other business ventures so that you see that Zambia has been a sleeping giant for a long time. And whoever injected us with Valium as a nation, I have no idea, Doctor.
Yes, because they didn't do us a very good service, but...
Absolutely, you know.
Yeah.
The late Museva, Commissioner Museva, eh?
Yes.
You remember he was working at State House as a Commissioner of Police?
I remember
the late Museva, when we lost one Africa Cup. We were just almost there, and we lost the Africa Cup. Then he says to me, "Well, Pastor, kanshi muno Zambia, kanyerere nshikatwa wilo mwa that."
It's true. Unfortunately, this is a subject which we simplify sometimes, but it is evident. That's what I'll say with my students, and I thank God that a lot of them respected that. I loved to push them to be the best that you know, the American Army, they say to be the best that you can be, and that is important. Not the best that you can be if our young children were beating people on buses, whatever, because that's not the best that you can be, but to be the best that they can be in whatever they do for their country, for their people, for their friends. And so yes, that's exactly, I think, where you're coming from.
And Dr. Reda always says to me, Pastor Chiloba, the people that are joining the Camnet family throughout Zambia, make sure that they are not time wasters. He says, I don't like dealing with jokers.
Yes, but unfortunately in life, you will find jokers as well. So our responsibility is to encourage and to teach.
Yeah.
To teach people to believe in themselves, to have like a self-confidence. Right now, it's going to be difficult. We don't know what this climate change is going to bring, or it has already brought into, in the world. But it is affecting everybody. Unfortunately, you see at the same time, I'm talking worldwide now, you know, people are busy with arms, you know, and you ask yourself, you know, where is the love for the world, for fellow human beings, you know, and unfortunately, it's teaching. We have to teach love. Our colleagues in the States, our fellow black people, they're still going through the issue of racism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's pick up this call, Doctor.
Okay.
Hello, good evening. Yes, speak a little bit louder. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Charles Vanji. I'm a Zambian businessman.
Charles who?
Vanji.
Vanji.
Yes.
From where?
I'm calling you from within Lusaka. I'm a businessman in Lusaka.
Mr. Vanji, speak to the world.
Thank you very much. I am one of the person who is very interested on Camnet. I watch Camnet so much like eating food.
Thank you so much.
Camnet has become a big blessing from my perspective, you know, for the country of Zambia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the program that you are bringing, honestly, with our mother, you are doing very well and will continue supporting it.
Thank you, Mr. Vanji.
Yes. We are. Good evening, Dr. Chitinga.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Vanji.
Thank you very much. We are so thankful as well to hear your pool of knowledge that you have given us within a short period of time. Yes. I have been going to this agriculture, what we call it by the top ground there.
The agriculture show?
No, where they do, just by the agriculture, there is a big cooperative.
Livestock.
Livestock, yeah?
Yes, I've gone there for several seminars. What we discovered is exactly what Dr. Sitting was saying, that in Zambia, you can be a farmer, but the problem that you may discover that there might not a research of what is happening. At the same time, the markets are not organized, and that gives a bigger challenge. So, Pastor Gilwa, as you are trying to develop the manpower, let's work on whichever formula that can be done where we can help the market, because it doesn't make sense for me to start doing aquaculture, and then in the meantime, I don't know where to sell the fish. Then the other concern is like you were asking, this is what I love also together with my wife. We produce big time in terms of maize that come from southern province, but you find that the government, instead of putting up the infrastructures of exporting our commodities, we will invest money in putting police and Zambia National Service to block people who want to take the maize out so that we can get the dollar. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Like you're saying, there's so much big voice on politicians. Now it has come everyone is political. But can we see results? It is nonsense for us to produce copper and then we don't look copper. We produce this maize and then we don't look maize. So please address these things. Otherwise, Pastor Chiluba and Doctor, you are doing very well for the country. Just continue with this. God will bless you, because these are good and inspiring lessons that you are bringing almost every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Banji. Just to quickly answer Mr. Banji,
yes.
What we have done with my wife, you know about this Dr. Sichinga, that's exactly what he has talked about. We looked at the marketing problem.
Side of,
People can produce.
Yes.
Where do they sell from?
Yes.
Too. Now, what we have done, like we keep on telling the people attending the seminar, we have got certain things that are online. We will guarantee, if you do this, there is a market.
Yes.
If you do this, so Camnet family is first of all looking for the market, then we come to the people.
Yes.
I've seen that even in our national planning doctor, when I travel to America, travel to Europe, when they create the site, even here in South Africa, the first thing they do before they start allocating plots is to do the services.
Yes.
They do the roads, they do the sewer, they do the water and everything. Then they advertise. But our council here in Zambia is different. They will give you a plot, then they come looking for where to push the road.
No. In fact, even where the roads were built, I came to school to Lusaka. I came from Muyombe to Munali. I was at Munali Secondary School. But that time, Lusaka was a lovely city. Today, you go on these main roads, you find that where the sewer line is, that they build a house on top of the sewer line.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And this is why when we say Camnet is not just another channel, people did not understand. But we just want to do things differently.
Yes.
First and foremost, we look for the market. Then we hold seminars and tell the people, this is where. Not just holding seminars so that you get money from the people. No. And if you see the project I'm doing outside the doctor, that is worth millions of dollars. But I cannot go into it if I don't know where the market is.
Correct.
So people like you, this is why I don't want to go far from you people who qualify. I can organize a seminar. I can motivate the people from the Bible. But when it comes to soil analysis, I know that you are the scientist Zambia has.
No, Pastor, one thing, as I said, I deliberately said that. I said it's probably the ministry with the most PhDs. They are here.
Let me talk to this one. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Okay. Yes, Doctor.
These are our people, our own people.
Zambians.
Yes. The majority of whom I personally taught. So all I'm saying is that we don't have to, you know, you don't hear them. You've traveled. If there is a problem with the armyworm, or if there is a problem with the drought, in most countries, when the television reports that, what do we see? We see them going to different people, experts.
Experts. Let's pick up this call, Doctor. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. What's your name and where you calling us from? Speak a little bit louder.
Okay, my name is Charity Mwelwa.
You are who?
Charity Mwelwa?
Charity Mwelwa?
Yes.
From Lusaka?
I'm calling you from Canada.
Oh, you're calling from Canada?
Yes.
What a blessing. Charity, go ahead and speak to the world.
Okay. Yeah, but what I'm trying to ask is not really part of the topic you're talking about.
Speak a little bit louder.
Find out.
Yeah?
I wanted to find out, I'm trying to do a world remit on the seminar which is coming forth. I wanted to know the name to put on the world remit because it asks the name. Should I put your name or it's the Camnet TV for the Airtel?
Or you want to participate in the conference using Zoom?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Charity, the number on the middle there, if you put plus 260-962-965-883, if you send it through World Remit, you should be able to register your name.
All right, I get your point, but what name should I use? Should I use your personal names or the church name?
Actually, that number, it is my number, but because people were calling me without permission, everyone, so we decided to take it to the call center, but that's a personal number. So when you call, it will come as Moses Chiluba.
Okay, okay.
Do you watch Camnet TV regularly from Canada, Charity?
Almost every day.
You watch it every day?
Yes, I watch every day, and I'm so empowered physically, and the encouragement on the farming team. So yeah, it's really a good program. I enjoy it with my
Which
family.
state are you in Canada?
Province.
Which province?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Okay, so thankful that you can take your time to call all the way from Canada. Charity, may God bless you and bless your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Doctor, you were a Canadian, I know.
Yes, yes.
Have you heard Charity? She calls all the way from Canada.
Yes, she does. And if I had run away from Zambia, I would go to live in Canada.
Is that so?
Yes, I think
It's a beautiful country.
yes, and if you are a disciplined person, you work hard, it's
rewarding.
They're good people, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to hear somebody from Canada.
I'm so grateful to the Lord that we can have that. Now, Doctor, as we are waiting for people to call, answer this question. Can Zambia or can agriculture contribute to the GDP of Zambia by 10%, 1%, 5%? What is your view?
My view is that it can contribute much more than that.
Much more.
Yes. I would expect it to be somewhere between 15 and 20%, at least.
To our GDP?
Yes, because, Pastor Chuma, what else are we going to do? Copper up.
That's right.
Yes, but this food we can produce, people will eat all forever. You know, here there are products. There's wildlife. People think, well, yes, it's not directly agriculture, but it is. Australia exports a lot of kangaroo meat to the world, a lot of it.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
And we have buffaloes, we have impalas, we have kudus.
Grow. You can growing things. It's not just growing what we already, because we inherited from our ancestors. But there are lots of other things we can do.
And somebody is speaking about that during the conference. Hello, good evening. Hello?
I'm listening you.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where you calling us from?
I'm General Shonga.
General Shonga, the general that I know.
Yeah, you already know. That's why you couldn't go.
General Shonga, it's good to hear you, sir. And I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yes, because I'm in COVID.
I'm in COVID.
Yes.
General Shonga, please, this is our former commandant in the National Service. And please contribute to the nation.
I was in the army.
In the army?
Yes.
Oh, can you imagine that? Yes, General Shonga. Yes, sir.
This program
Yes, sir.
is very well.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you a joke.
Go ahead, sir.
One person was given 50 kwacha, and another person was given 50 kwacha. This other person started growing chickens and everything. And this other one was just paying money to suck water and sewage for shitting there. Who was doing well? Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, General. We'll see you at the golf club.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
God bless you. You made it.
Yes, yes.
The
I've understood.
general.
No, the joke. This joke is almost universal.
It's universal.
My supervisor, when I was a student, he used to tell it differently. He said there were two boys, and there were two rooms, and the two rooms were filled with cow manure, and they put a shovel there in both two rooms and put two boys there. One boy was very unhappy and started complaining, how can you put me here? If you have manure, there's nothing to do here. Very bad money, you're punishing me. Then the other one didn't complain. He just took the shovel and started shoveling the manure out. So eventually the man came back and said, why are you doing this? The other one said, why you put me here? There's nothing that I can do here. Then the other one says, no. If there's so much manure, I want to find the cow that put this manure here.
Yeah.
Again, a very similar story to what General
Shonga
is talking about. Because in the end, one was saying, look, I can't just sit and do nothing. Therefore, there must be a reason why this manure is sitting here. It can't happen on its own.
Absolutely.
And it's a bit exactly what you asked me about our own country. For how long, as a people, are we going to beg? For how long? You know, one of the saddest things is when you watch some of our friends, like West Africa, trying to cross into Europe because of the problems of war and starving in West Africa, you know, and dying in the Mediterranean because of, I don't know about the problems of Africa. Sometimes they can be overwhelming.
Absolutely.
You know, and we should thank God that we also have some people. We should not, I know people say, no, we don't have any people who have run away because of problems. They are there.
But what I tend to say, Dr. Sichinga, This is what I believe, again, as a pastor.
Yeah.
Poverty is in the mind.
Yes.
I've always believed that, and I've told my children that don't you ever say, I am poor.
No.
Say my mind is poor. You know?
It's true.
Because when you read the Bible, Doctor, the Bible says, as a person thinks, so is he. You can't rise above your thoughts.
No.
I'm a John Howard product,
Yeah.
very humble in education. People used to insult me, insult my mother.
Yes.
Well, if you run a school, what? But these things, they did not
No.
matter to me.
Yes.
Because of the poverty that I grew up in. My mother could not even afford, you know, from the market to feed all of us.
Yes, yeah.
That's another story, Doctor.
Correct.
But I refused to be at that level.
Yes.
My mind
Yes.
tells me I was born for greatness. I've had this. Walking the flooded roads of John Howard,
Correct.
I would still say this is a great man walking in John Howard.
That's true. That is true.
You know?
Canada is a very interesting country.
Yeah.
Their most famous historically prime minister was Diefenbaker. Now Diefenbaker was a bit like the new president who Zambia has just elected.
President HH.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Diefenbaker stood 3 times and lost.
Yeah.
Then he finally won. And he is their best prime minister ever.
Really?
Yes. When you hold a Canadian dollar, not the American dollar, but the Canadian dollar, they call it a Diefenbaker.
Really?
This is the Diefenbaker because that's the man God gave them to emancipate them, to change that country to be what it is. So every country is given somebody like that. So what you're saying, you know?
Doctor, let's read some few text messages. Mr. Director, if there are text messages, please put them there. Good evening, Pastor and Dr. Schichinga. I'm enjoying the program and I will be attending the conference. Now, apart from acquiring some knowledge regarding in agricultural production, I feel the learners should also be guided how they can work safely in the industry because of the hazards found in this environment. Dr. Schichinga and his colleagues can help in this matter. This is Mo in Mufulira. What do you say to that?
No, Mr. Mo, it's, I suspect it's from my home area.
Oh, okay.
But yes, Mr. Mo, it is very true. You hear now of organic farming. It is not that just fun. It is because in some cases, I mentioned to you, the issue that happened with GMO, genetically modified seeds, in Brazil, where people ended up with scabies, maybe sometimes quite an impede all over their arms, because the maize had not gone through the process of cleaning it up and making sure that it's a safe maize to sow. Agriculture, even as we increase, it's good, it should increase, but we should do it very safely. There are a lot of chemicals that can kill, or people can go blind, or, you know, because people have jumped into it without following the correct procedures.
So it's true what they say that some of these foodstuffs we eat are the major contributing factor to cancer or what, because they are not scientifically...
Some is a direct food, some it is the way it has been combined. So there are very many concoctions, let's put it that way, mixtures, that some are actually dangerous. What we can do as a person, when a person like me is working with people, helping people to produce better, is to ensure that we follow the rules. We follow the correct, the rules, the hygiene rules, and the safety rules, which Mr. Mo is emphasizing in that discussion of his. Because indeed, it can be dangerous. Some chemicals can be dangerous and they can kill people.
I like the word you've used, Dr. Schinga. This nation needs liberation.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And this is the more reason why people don't understand my thinking.
Yeah.
They think I'm arrogant or I'm this, because I've been working with these people,
Yes.
especially in government where you were. There are too many red tapes.
Yes.
You wanted to see this one.
But not knowing that you're causing anxiety, people become anxious. Because they're anxious, they are not giving some activities that they're doing the due period to make sure that they avoid, giving things to people that may injure them or harm them.
May God bless us. Please give us some text messages. Let's see if we can take some more text messages, my director. Good evening. Please add me to the CAMNET network. Taken, as you have written that text, tomorrow the call center will be going through, they will add you, and may God richly bless you. Give us some more text, and those of you who can, please call. You know, Doctor, I'm so encouraged for people like Charity, all the way from Canada,
Yes.
watching.
Yes.
And these are Zambians with progressive minds.
Yes.
Because you cannot just go to Canada, America, Australia, and you think you will die there. Shalo Chabene. One day you have to come back here.
It's very true.
So I believe that Charity is one of the Zambians whose minds are great, knowing at Kuno, na isafe muku tandala.
It's true.
One day
True.
I have to go back
home, yes.
and relocate.
Okay.
You know. Give us a call, and we will take the last three messages. But before the message comes, I was saying, can we use agriculture to develop the nation? You know, there is a place, Honorable, just nearby here, where God blessed us with a piece of land where to build the house.
Yes.
And the road is not so good. And it looks like a village. So I looked at that. My wife and I, each time we pass, we go through. And I called the National Service.
Yes.
How much do you charge per kilometer to do a road? From the third road, basically to near our plot and past that, the amount they gave me, I felt like engaging them tomorrow. It's just that I'm waiting for funds. In short, I am saying, Doctor, if we all get into farming,
Yes.
and we have a farming block, you contribute, I contribute, 100 of us contribute. Yeah. Why should we wait for a Chinese company to come and put a tarmac?
No.
Can't we do it on our own?
Pastor Chiluba, you know, when we look at our country, so like I said, sometimes I use the specific example of Kate because somehow it comes up a lot in our lives. But the responsibility, because some of these people that we're talking about, or this, they are children who need some help themselves.
That's right.
Yes, so the onus is on us to pick this up, help them to at least go one step. Then hopefully on their own they'll add another 2 steps. I am convinced that God will be kind. He's been kind to our country.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that that Zambia can develop very quickly.
It can.
Yes, it can. Confidence in ourselves, confidence in our Lord and the lessons that He teaches us. I was a big admirer of late Dr. Kaunda, because my mother knew him, and until we came back from school and we started MMD. I was one of the people that started MMD. I hear a lot of people say, I was there. but we know
Everyone
who was
wants
there.
to,
Yes.
to get to the credit.
We know who was there.
Yeah.
The point I'm making there is that at that time, the point that we were making was for myself, not the dislike for the old man. I was very disappointed because it's somebody, from when I was very, very small, I used to see Nalandrova and because my mother liked him, as a child you tend to look up to that, and indeed he did a lot of things for the country, a lot. But you also made mistakes towards the end.
Yeah.
So similarly, we then had the Chiluba, we had the Levi, we had Warupia, we had Vasata. But in fairness to our God has been kind. We have missed out on the really nasty things in Kondo. We look at our neighbors, those who have had to fight a lot. That in itself is a blessing. And I think we should pick it up from there perhaps and use it. I'm still hopeful that I will go back to teaching. I love teaching. I'm hopeful.
But my prayer for you, Dr. Stinga, sorry, I was looking on my phone
I
because
understand them quite.
my wife sends to my small notes and she's saying, the lady in Canada, we've been speaking to her. Yeah, we spoke to her.
Okay,
She's very committed. She's very committed and she wants to get some land in Mumbwa.
Okay.
But my prayer for you, Doctor, not that I'm looking for a job for you, is that for people like President HH, one is a farmer,
yes,
two is educated, even President Chagwa is a lawyer, and all these presidents that have come behind, I cannot discredit one of the presidents. No, all of them have been fantastic.
Yes.
They've got their own mistakes, their issues.
Shortfalls. Everybody has.
Everyone. Because even President HH, after 5 years, will find a lot of mistakes. You know, even President Chiluba. So everyone has got their own shortfalls. But my prayer to God for you is that people like President HH should fish out for people like you. People like you, your friends, your seniors, people like Honorable Magande, you know, that man is an asset to this nation.
I know him very well.
And a lot of people. If you put this nation, it's not difficult to manage.
It is not. That is why, Pastor Chiluba, I've been saying, for me as an individual, today we are different. It's not like when the Dr. Kaundas took over the country, no. Because in fairness, they didn't even have the people. I mean, people who could do this work.
They didn't have scientists.
No. If you want, I wanted to be. I ask people. There's a Kalito book we use in soil science, which tells us the soils of Zambia. It's called. It's a Kalito book. It's very tiny. So, who wrote it? A technician from England.
Really?
Yes, because there was nobody, no Zambian who could write things like that. Yeah. So why were we reading and using that book? We use it even today. I always ask my friends, my colleagues, why are we reading the book? What is it that gives this guy this ability to put this on paper? And this, Pastor Chiluba, this is why I was commenting about extension. Zimbabwe, before the problems they have, they had one of the best extensions in Africa.
Really?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And the books they were using, they gave their people, they had 2 books, you know, so that when the extensions go to the farmers, they can explain things properly. That is what I was saying about inconsistency, the way we plan, but we miss critical components. Because extension, if you want the new ideas of agriculture for our people, to learn them, there has to be a mechanism. There has to be a mechanism. It's not something, not everybody can read English. Not everybody can, you know. So, somewhere, somehow, somebody must interpret and explain. You know, Ngamataba, this is how you do it. What's the difference is this and that and that. This is the difference. This is, you know, this favors maize, this favors groundnuts. They must know. On their own, it's unfair to expect that somehow, miraculously, they will just know that, okay, if it's different from, no. You know, we who have been privileged because, and I know that Dr. Kaunda's desire for education for his people. One of the reasons the education was necessary was so that the Schingas of this world can read these things and help our country, help our people to understand them.
And here you are, Honorable Schinga. If you feel Echinkalipalimo,
I know.
Echinkalipalimo, because you have some of the people in government who don't even know when they were born.
Yes.
They can't even write their name properly. We are at the same level academically, but you find somebody has got a Range Rover. You know, so
it's true.
This kind of should come to an end. The reason why Dr. Kaunda placed emphasis on education is to liberate Zambia.
Yes.
And development is in many sectors, and you can't do away with education. It is just recently that I'm knowing doctor, like people like Professor Chivelushi is very good in statistics.
Yes.
Is very good in, you give him something, he will tell you to say, oh, there are so many farmers doing this. When you sit down, you are just saying, Lord,
you go
why?
to South Africa.
Yeah.
The gentleman, I don't know today, but a few years ago, who was responsible for their medicine registration office, Nidok. It's a Zambian, Mulek.
A Zambian?
You know, yes, and it's not even, you know, our own people, some of whom have come, some have behaved their own way, but our own people who are abroad. Very clever people. But like I said, sometimes the fear is, if I go home, what will I do?
Absolutely.
How will I be accepted? You know? I should be teaching even now. But what I did is I said, because I was in government so long, because at university, if even if you're seconded, but you have a position, they cannot replace you. Because if you come back, what will happen? The university will have nowhere to put you, unless you resign. When you resign, then they can recruit somebody else. And that's what I did. I resigned, but I continued teaching. So, and why did some of us continue to do that? Because
you've got the passion.
Our people are still, we are still, those little kids I see on the roads with the, you know,
milkers, dirty.
Exactly.
Please bring that knowledge to Camnet TV.
You know?
Camnet TV, we are a family, and I know it. There are people, Dr. Schinga, watching us there, serious-minded people.
But you know, God has been kind in a way.
Yes, sir.
Because I got to UTH, you know, I had a stroke about 5 years ago.
Really?
Yes, I had a very bad stroke.
Oh.
Yes, they all thought I was dead, and a doctor, I hate to use their names, but better, they are Dr. Schizia. When he looked at the scan they had done, and he started by and he prayed, and at that time I was conscious, and he finished, and then they started working on me. And
it's a prayer for doctor.
It's a prayer for doctor. Schizia. Then but the point I'm trying to raise is that people like that says to me, Doc, God has brought you back for a purpose. Yeah? There is something you have to do.
That's Dr. Schizia.
That's Dr. Schizia telling me that.
My goodness.
But these kind of experiences we have, I asked myself, because I was comfortable, I was sure I was dying, but I was not panicking. My brothers were panicking. I was comfortable because I was at peace. I didn't feel the pain. I accepted that, you know. But when the recovery started, it was a struggle because I had lost my memory completely.
Really?
Oh, yes. Completely no memory. I could tell my family, like the children, and I knew their names, but I couldn't write. I couldn't write my own name. I couldn't write my... And I was going to UTH virtually every day until Makaya Kwalesa, God pulled me through. The reason I have raised this is because when I got to UTH, and my experience having been in government at that high level, is to see the young people, those who get the jobs. There is a young doctor who looks after because after that, after I recovered from my stroke, I had a heart as well. My heart was going. I was only 37% functioning. My heart. There's a young lady from Mpika. She's running one of the units there. The doctor who looked after me with stroke after Chiziana had worked on me is Dr. Nyirenda. The love I have for these people, for the caring I saw under very difficult circumstances.
The doctors?
Yes. Yeah. Because UTH, I don't know how they manage, I don't know the courage that they have to work in such difficult
It's passion.
circumstances.
It's passion.
Yes. So that's why I said God loves us. You know, because when I was young, when they were building UTH, I was here because of coming to school at Munali. And it was beautiful. You see now they've overcrowded the hospital. It's, but these young people, sometimes I look at them and I know what I went through school-wise, and I say, you know, Zambia has hope. That's why when you are asking me about, can we do it? Yes, we can do it very quickly.
We will do it.
Yes.
One of the first black men to sit on the medical board of South Africa
Yes.
is Zambian trained Dr. Ichuni.
Yes,
with his wife Gertrude.
I would not be surprised.
So when he called me to dedicate their first surgery, Randburg Hospital,
Yes.
I went to dedicate it to know that he is a Zambian. He's from Uganda, but he grew up in Zambia.
No,
And married a Lozi lady, Gertrude. They are both surgeons, very wonderful couple.
Yes.
Now you look, today he has got hospitals.
Yes.
Today is at international level. And these are people that you look, surely Zambia, we have all that we need.
Yes.
Where do we miss it?
No, we have work to do, Pastor Chilwa. The work that we have to do, whether it's education, whether it is to understand that, you see, you are a pastor, so you should be telling me this. God gives us an environment. And he says, you want freedoms. I've given you the freedoms to do what you believe is right. What do we choose? We choose to go the wrong way. And that's why we are surprised. I'm saying this because of the experience I had when I had the stroke. Because when you lose at my level, everything, and this Dr. Nyirenda I'm talking about started teaching me in the hospital.
Really?
Yes, after I went, during my recovery.
But you know why, doctor? Like Dr. Schizia said, for me, I can only thank God
Yes.
that you are alive. Look at the amount of wealth that could have gone to the grave, and Zambia would not benefit. So to me, I tell you what, people like yourselves, you are national assets. If I was president, I would assign a bodyguard to be keeping you, and wherever you are going. No. I'm talking about value.
I understand.
I'm talking about value.
I understand.
People would rather guard money being transported from Mondola to Lusaka with the paramilitaries everywhere, but they would fail to recognize a person who can bring 50 of those trucks.
Yes.
They fail to recognize that. This is where I have issues.
No, I think we have hope as a country. I think we've done certain things right. They're not running well. The universities, the institutions, they still need to be helped to reorganize. Some people think more universities you build, the better. No. No, not all of us can be PhDs. Even those that driving tractor on a farm is part of the.
It's very important.
Yeah, it's critical if we want to succeed.
Even a
and that's why
I'm
thanking God for those little children who were small when I was teaching, but now they can. I'm sick and they are able to look after me and I recover. I think maybe he's demonstrating something to us. Yeah. So with agriculture, I'm sure that a little effort, organization, honesty, not take from the mouths of babies. Yeah. If we do that, God will recognize Ukweba. We are his people. Yeah. But if a country decides to go that route, where people have money, they don't even know how to use it because they don't know where it came from.
They leave it in the house.
Yes. That will create...
Yeah.
God can punish us. I think my pastors, you know the stories.
Absolutely.
God has punished people, countries that do that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Because he'll say, but I was hoping you will help my children. And if we remember, a lot of the stories in the Bible demonstrate goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I hope that with our little knowledge, we can put things together and help.
No, you will. Dr. Schizia, it has been my honor and privilege to have you in the studio, and the nation has just heard not even 2% of what you hold in this nation, and I'm so grateful that even at short notice here on set, you can accept to come and guide the nation for 30 minutes,
30 minutes
during our conference. I appreciate that, and on behalf of my wife, I'm most grateful. And please guide my wife and I. We are pastors. When it comes to scriptures, I don't have to ask you.
No, the other way.
Well, no. That one you just sit, I'm capable to take care of you. But when it comes to agriculture, which has become my passion, when it comes to business, not just agriculture, we'll be talking about these people with a small scale farming, we'll be talking about a lot of things.
Because we haven't covered that, but
we haven't.
Yes,
I believe
I have a different philosophy.
Yeah.
Because they are different from the commercial. I mentioned the commercial,
yes,
but I didn't mention them.
Yeah.
But we have to put effort there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very grateful.
I'm grateful too. Thank you.
Welcome, the TV viewers. Once again, we come to the end of our broadcast tonight. And I've been in the studio with Dr. Schichinga. Those of you who sent the messages and we didn't read, please don't get discouraged. We will. And those of you that are coming, remember the conference is this Friday. Don't wait to come and pay at the door because you pay more and we may not cater for food for you, and we are providing lunch. So please, if you have chance tomorrow, come to Camnet TV headquarters or send the money tomorrow. You have people like Dr. Schichinga and many more professors that God has given. Come and listen. Come and see what God is doing in this nation. On behalf of my wife, the leadership of the Healing Word Ministries, and on behalf of the technical people that labor from day to day, bringing you news, bringing you other programs, and surely on behalf of you, our dear viewers, I can only say, may God bless this great nation of Zambia. Keep watching Camnet TV, and remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. Shalom, shalom. We'll see you.